Good morning, everybody. Kat here. Welcome to the channel. It's Tuesday morning, and we're just going to run down some things that are in the news. First, let's touch on Russell Brand. I have a little bit more to say about this. The case against him certainly seems to be just barreling on in the press. Apparently, somebody else has come forward. He's getting just, trial by press. He's supposed to be, innocent till proven guilty, and that kind of doesn't happen once public opinion and the press and the way they want to report a story happens. And this is what I said yesterday. I said, now here's the thing. I do believe that there is a concerted effort by the powers that be to silence Russell Brand for whom he's been associating with, what he's been talking about, truths he's been spreading, and investigations he's been doing. I think they consider him a threat because of his large public following. That, I believe, is true. But there's a bigger dimension to this that we kind of have to, this is a multi-dimensional story, a multi-dimensional happening, the way these things happen in the world. Don't get me wrong. I've been, following Russell Brand, know all about him for decades, and he's always had the reputation of being, pirate energy, swordsman, if you want to know, say it politely. He'd sleep with anything, and women would line up to sleep with him. I mean, I've seen him on talk shows. I've seen clips of him on Loose Women in Britain. The American version, of course, is The View. From like a decade ago, touching the women all, climbing all, and they were loving it. There was nothing in the press the day later. Russell Brand was on The View and sexually assaulted Joey Behar, or touched her leg and she didn't like it. What a pig. Nobody said it was accepted. The women loved the attention. They love a swarthy, dirty guy. And this is one way he was able to get away with it for so long. Not only that, there is, among the elite, among the business, the media and this kind of thing, they protected their talent. If it's true that he was having a 16-year-old girl picked up from school and taken to his apartment from a company car, and they knew all about it, well, we've seen this time and time and time again, and not just in entertainment, not just in Britain, but around the world. Anybody who's, the upper echelons, elitist, rich people in society, these sort of activities seem to be a pretty regular pastime with all of them, so that is something that doesn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me that if he's done everything they said he'd done, and worse, or more, whether it's, whether things are proven to be criminal, or maybe he was just a pig. No doubt that he was not a real honorable, respectful man towards women in the past. We all know that, whether it's criminal or not, what he's done, that remains to be seen. But now YouTube has demonetized his platform, which I think is outrageous. There's no charges against him. He hasn't, in the eyes of the law so far, has not done anything wrong. And whether this was all an open secret in Hollywood, or sorry, not Hollywood, in British society, British media, well, and I guess, yeah, too, in Hollywood, because there's been rumors and talk about him when he was living in Hollywood doing movies as well. Now, apparently, other people have called him out in the past, notably Catherine Ryan, a Canadian comedian that's been based in Britain now for, I think, over a decade, maybe 15 years or something. But I'd heard a couple of years ago that she had called out a fellow comedian as a sexual predator on a TV show, but that bit was never aired. And she's talked about it in interviews, never mentioned his name, but said he knows because I told him to his face and other people heard me do it. And now it's come out that indeed it was Russell Brand, and it was while they were both panelists on a comedy contest roast show in, I believe, 2017, and I believe that was the last time Russell appeared on British television. So, you know, there's been talk about him for a long time. This stuff could very well be true. It could be worse than we know. But I mean, you know, that's the bigger story. Not that perhaps we do have another sex pest. He was lauded and loved, and women fell over him for decades, knowing what kind of a reputation he had. His publicists, managers, studio bosses protected him because he was lucrative talent. That's the real issue. The real issue that we have to look at is why, at the top echelons of business, politics, media, academia, religion, why at the top of the heap of all of this is there always the stink of sexual scandals and impropriety and dangerous criminal behavior? It's because at the top of all those echelons, the elite, there is a predilection for that sort of thing, and it's accepted. And you know, the only reason they're coming after him now is because he is no longer towing the party line, and he's talking about things they wish he didn't. And they'll take him down. I have no doubt that this is going to be tough, you know? And like I said before, he may well be being accused rightly. He may have well done criminal things. I have no doubt he's done, you know, pretty repulsive things and behaved badly. Whether they're criminal or not remain to be seen, but the public slaying of Russell Brand goes on and is accelerating, you know, even before we know, even if there's any proof that there is criminal improprieties here. So this is something that we have to wait and watch and see. And that's going to be an ongoing story for a while. Elsewhere in the news, here in New York, the United Nations is seated for its, I think, 78th General Assembly, and they've got a special guest. That's right, Prince William is speaking to the General Assembly of the United Nations, and yesterday he had private talks with the General of the United Nations, who's a one-trick pony, climate change kind of guy. He's just, the climate crisis is the only thing on his mind, and he thinks it's, you know, it's the worst thing ever. And here you've got William flying over in, you know, private jet to speak to the General Assembly and to the head of the UN about climate change and what a disaster and what are we going to do and how can we work with governments to promote the policies that we think are important to quell the problems with climate change. First of all, who the hell is Prince William to be getting involved in government issues, pushing policy, not just even in Britain. He's at the UN. This is worldwide, man. He is speaking to the world, saying, you gotta stop eating meat. You gotta stop driving your car. You gotta stop flying. We can't use fossil fuels. You can't use plastic anymore. You know, who the hell is he? First of all, in a parliamentary monarchy, the royal family is supposed to be above politics. They're not supposed to get involved. The king has the power to convene. He has the power to meet. He has the power to advise and answer questions and have discussions. He should not be pushing public policy, political policy at home or indeed around the world. And neither should William. But here you go. How do we get in this position anyway? Well, I'll tell you. The royal family are working hand in hand with the World Economic Forum, with the World Health Organization, with the World Bank, with the United Nations. And who are all these people? Unelected, elitist officials that have taken control of the world's governments. It's true. Democracy is supposed to mean that we as people in our respective sovereign countries vote for what we want our government to do for us. They are supposed to be working for us. Well, they don't work for us anymore. They now work for the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, the World Health Organization, and the United Nations that are feeding them the policies that they want to implement in their countries to further the agenda of the elite, of which the royal family are very elite. People say, oh, they soft power. Watch my video on soft power. I dare ya. It's not soft power when, as the head of the Commonwealth, you basically own a third of the world's land. You basically reign over a third of the world's population. That's a heavy hitter. That's a lot of power and influence. And here's William talking in the General Assembly, all the elites just nodding at each other, telling each other what they want to hear and affirming their commitment to doing what they please, regardless of the impact it's going to have on it. These policies aren't going to affect the elite. They can fly around the country, fly around the world to have a meeting. They don't want you to be able to drive. They want you to live in a 15-minute city where you're not allowed to drive out of the perimeter because of climate change. And, I mean, it sounds insane, but this is what's happening. Look what's happening in Britain right now, in London right now with the ULEZ zone. Ultra-low emissions. They don't want you driving in the city. You can't run a city without cars and trucks and vehicles and transit. And I mean, this is just... And taxing people for driving their cars through. Collecting money isn't going to change the environment. It isn't. Even if it really were a problem, I mean, Britain alone is maybe less than 1% of the world's pollution problem. If they stopped everything yesterday, it wouldn't make a damn bit of difference. And these people know it. It's not about saving the earth. It's not about saving the environment or saving resources. It's about controlling you and me. And William is right up there with him. I've said it before. he's making his move to put himself in a position of even more power than his father has at the minute. Let's just put it that way for now. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Have a great one. We'll talk to you later. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I'd love to know what you have to think about everything. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.